Hello, it's Susan at Seaside Stitches and welcome, so much welcome to my channel. I have just a very brief video to bring you today. So it's a Friday Sews, which was the hashtag Friday Sews, which was developed by Jen at Today in Jen's Sewing Room. So thank you, Jen, for developing this hashtag. It just means lots of sewers can be found on YouTube under the hashtag Friday Sews. So this is quite a brief one, especially for me. I'm aware that I'm losing the light, but I've been working this afternoon and this is the first chance I've had to come on, and this is the Friday, the 24th. Tomorrow it is my 51st wedding anniversary. So not that we're doing anything special for that, but anyway, that's just a point of how I'm remembering the date. So in the week since I've not vlogged for about a month, issues, not wellness, bits and pieces, other things, whatever. And the real news I have for you is that I have got 3 or 4 videos kind of almost ready to share with you. I just couldn't come on to camera, so I videoed certain things. Anyway, I just want to share with you now that I went to the Knitting and Stitching show last Friday. So Friday morning I picked up my sister at 9 o'clock at a service station where her husband had brought her and he was off somewhere else, and then we met again on the day after because he was back, blah blah blah. And yeah, we just had an absolutely wonderful day. The journey was absolutely diabolical on the way to that services. I was in rainstorms, it was awful, but by the time I'd picked her up, we set off on the next leg of the journey and it just became brighter and brighter and less rainy, and it was just a nice drive. We did a lot of catching up. We've never spent a day together going out that wasn't involving one of our children or one of our grown-up children or my mum or my dad and doing something that was a care role or something. So it was just absolutely beautiful, and the hotel was nice and we got into the place. I'm not going to go into the whole thing of it, except that we just had a really lovely time. I got a wonderful photograph. She took a lovely photograph of me with Jen from Jen Hogg, who was in the semi-final of the Great British Sewing Bee 2019. So I've got lots of thank yous to give because my sewing machine broke on the Friday before that. So 2 weeks ago on Friday I had no sewing machine, or I thought I had no sewing machine. I managed to get it in with Ian McCullen, and he does lock stitch services. I'll link his name below. I don't want to tie myself in knots with words and messages and things, but I wanted to thank him so much. Janet at Fabrics at Fleetwood, I'd rung her in a panic about, is it possible to contact your man about, I know she has a man that services and mends sewing machines from her business. So I just rang that, but I didn't realise it's actually her husband that does it. So it's like, you know, the man that does the sewing machines, is there any chance of getting in touch with him? Anyway, they made it so that I could take it round the morning after and leave it in very good hands, and he had managed to sort it out by Tuesday evening, and I picked it up at tea time, and then I was back sewing properly. Because when I said I didn't have a sewing machine, I did have my old Singer Tradition, which is just very, I shall say, bog standard, and it would normally do the job on most things, but I was making a By Annie bag and there were so many layers, and the main thing that it couldn't cope with, I couldn't cope with it, it only had 2 needle positions, so in the middle or just to the right from where I am. And so I couldn't get it to where I needed to do a top stitch on the end of some binding and things like that. So it was very frustrating, and I was finishing off the crush velvet dress that I'd started, the S8875, and I had hoped if I'd finished it I would wear it at the do, but I didn't finish it because I just abandoned it. All I had was the cuffs to do on that from the Wednesday morning, I'd ordered a new foot for it because what had happened, I think, part of what had happened is when I've been going to the sewing socials, I've been picking up my foot off the floor and I've been winding the wire around it, which you're not supposed to do, are you? But I think I had loosened it and I could see the coloured wires from under the sheath, black sheathing on the outside. So I'd already told him that I'd noticed that, and he'd advised me to send for another one. So I did send for another one, and that arrived on the Thursday. So I got my bag finished, absolutely finished, ready to take with me about 4 o'clock on the Thursday before we were due to go on the Friday. I wasn't fully packed or anything, but I got the bag done and I'm so pleased with that. I was going to show it you, but I went down for something and came back with something else, as I do. And so the only thing that was to do on my, that's not good English, the crushed velvet dress was to put the cuffs on. But I was done fighting with it. I had a go at it. They didn't want to lay together. I abandoned it and I put it to one side, and I wore my most favourite and most well worn dress, the other S875 that I have in Jersey, with the same kind of silky red polo underneath it, and it was lovely. It wasn't exactly the right thing to go with the bag, but neither was the velvet one, because I was going to wear the yellow, it's a yellow ochre one. I'll put pictures in of anything I'm talking about. And I was wearing that I decided to wear that on the Saturday. And stuff happened, so we ended up not going in on the Saturday, but we had a lovely time. It was so nice to have Leslie with me and so supportive. And so I was looking at By Annie bag patterns in the Oh So Sweet shop stand, and I'd been chatting to the man and I was looking at the patterns, and she came over after and she said, "Susan, change your bag to that side." And I went, "What?" So she said, "When you're looking at patterns, put your bag on that shoulder so that people can see it, because it's gorgeous." So they're the things that are really nice, aren't they? Just kind of a bit of support and a bit of, ooh, she's like, "I'm promoting you with this bag." It was really funny. We had just had a beautiful day, and I managed to meet Jen Hogg, as I say, and I bought a purchase from her. I've just done a little video of what I bought, not very much. A pattern, 3 things of haberdashery, and something from Jen Hogg, which is also haberdashery. So that was it. And also I did buy some fabric. Now I had 2 things that I wanted to do, and I definitely wanted to see Jenny Stitch's stall and hopefully buy some fabric from her. And I did meet her, and I got in a fix. So this is going to be one of my longer stories again. Now I'm going to do it quickly. So I have this new bag, and it has pockets in different places, obviously, than my other bags. Now what you need to know about me, or what I'd like to tell you, is that I have about 5, I think I've got 5 shoulder bags. They are all identical except for colour. So what I do is, they have 5 pockets, and when I move from one to the other, depending on what colour I want to coordinate it with, I take everything out from the first compartment, zip it up, put it in the first compartment of the next one, and the same as I go through each compartment, move it straight across, because I have functional memory problems, and I'm sure if you've been with me a while you understand what I'm talking about. So everything is always in the same pocket, in the different versions of the bag. Now, having now gone into this other bag, it had pockets here and it had pockets there. I thought it's got many pockets, at least as many as in that one, but they're not. I hadn't worked out how I worked that bag yet. Now, if I have ever bought a new purse, if I cannot get exactly the same, what I mean, purse in the US is wallet, but to me is a purse. If I have ever bought a new purse and it hasn't been exactly the same type as another one, it takes me several weeks, days, sometimes longer, to actually be able to work it. So I know I flick it out with that hand, I open it with that hand, I can get my notes in there, I know which bit's got my cards in, which has not got my cards in. That's just how I've been for a long time. So when we got there, before we got there, I had packed my bag, I knew what I was doing. I had a big zip on the front, and that was for bags, which were my 2 folding bags and my tea bags, because that meant bags. And then there's one, I'm doing that because you turn it around, there's a front flap, and in there I had all my tissues. Now I have a constant kind of, too much information, but I suffer from nasal drip because I have allergies and sensitivities to dust and all sorts of things, so I always need a tissue handy. So all that was, lift up a magnetic flap, and I had my big storage of tissues, new tissues. Should I need them? Maybe I won't need them, but if they're not there, I'll need them. And it's not a good look, is it, wiping your nose on your sleeve? So, and I have a method of keeping my credit card where I keep my credit card in my other bag, and I couldn't do that in this bag in case it just kind of whizzed out of the place or whatever, or it was buried too deep in the thing. So I put it with my bus pass, because being over 60 by some 10 years, I have a bus pass. So I had it in my bus pass folder, and I had slipped it behind my phone inside an inner gathered pocket. But when I went to look for it to pay for something at Jenny Stitches, I couldn't find it, and I couldn't immediately locate it, and when I felt by my phone it wasn't there. So I thought I must have put it somewhere else. Now what I had done to make things easier was put in a little makeup bag so that I had some pockets in there, and my medication and stuff like that was in separate bits. But at this point, we'd only just walked in the place. I could feel my shoulders going up now. I was getting quite hot. I was getting quite stressed. There was a lot of people. All of a sudden, a coach load of people from Barrow came to see Jenny, and I was in the middle of this and trying to locate my car. Oh, it was just, Leslie was like, "Are you okay? And should I hold your gloves? Should I do?" And it was just like, let's just move out of here. So I had teething problems with how I work my bag. So I just said to Jenny, I'll come back for this, or if it's too much trouble to keep it for me, I'll just come back and hope you've got one. But she kept it to one side, and I didn't want to buy 2.5 meters worth of fabric and carry it around all day, so I was going to go back anyway. That's that bit over. And then I said I wouldn't tell you all about it because I was only thinking about time and darkness, and it'll all descend on me and I shall disappear into the distance of night time. Yes, so then we just kind of, I went to one side. There's a nice little gallery set up, so that I wasn't in a way of anyone trying to get to a stall or away from a stall. And now Mr. Drilling Man is across the back, interrupting my thoughts. And so I went and stood to one side there, and I just sorted myself out. I got out of a little anxiety kind of stressful moment, and I just resorted my bag so that I knew where it was. I did find my card. I knew where it was. It was where I thought it was, but it had just slipped down the back of that pocket. And then I rearranged things so that I could instantly pick out the thing that I went in for, which was great. And then I just kind of calmed myself, and we just trolled along, just gently looking from side to side, little stalls here, there, kind of went through one hall, went into another, and we were just taking our time because we were going to have the second day as well. And then I had a lovely lady called Margaret Vickers who came up and introduced herself, one of my followers. So if you're there, Margaret, followers, one of my viewers, who has been with me right from the beginning. I remember comments on, I don't know, my 3rd or 4th vlog about Harper Cardigan, and I just really hope I welcomed you enough, Margaret, because I was so pleased to see you. It was lovely of you to come over and say hi. And yes, and and then I made a purchase. So being a bit more organised and thought, I was drawn Little Legs Fabric Company. Now I had only a kind of nagging notion that I'd heard of Little Legs Fabrics. I don't know if that might have been from Liz at the Bake Who Sews, I'm not quite sure. But it had some kind of resonance with me, but I didn't really know much about them. And our Leslie was looking at patterns, children's patterns, young children's patterns, like Waves and Wild patterns. And they had quite a lot of samples up of the children's patterns made with their fabrics. Well, so the two jobs I had was to look at Jenny Stitch's stall and check what she had, and even if I didn't buy it then, I would know what it looked like or felt like for when I go on her website. And Higgs and Higgs I knew were going, and I wanted some more cable knit jersey because I have 4 Harper cardigans. Have I got 5? Blue, rust, yellow, black. I have 4 Harper cardies in cable knit jersey that I started making in 2020, and I wanted a bright red, but I needed to know what the red was in person because it's not easy to photograph, and I don't want the wrong one again, because if anybody of you have been here with me before know that when I sent for the royal blue from Higgs and Higgs years ago, it came and it wasn't royal blue to me. The lining was royal blue, but it's like a grey denim-y blue. And what I realised when I checked out their colour chart was I should have ordered cobalt blue. Shoulders up. Right, so anyway, I did look there, but they didn't have what I wanted. And I was back in my mind now. I'm back with Little Legs Fabrics, and I looked at their fabrics, and this one stood out at me. Now, I don't think you'll understand why, because I think you know that I like things so kind of drab and quiet. Now then, how is that? Wow. So that's a jersey, and I'm just so, it's amazing. I just think I have so many plans for it. I have to just whittle them down to the one I'm actually making. So when I realised it was Little Legs Fabric, I thought, when I came home, I looked up Little Legs Fabric because I thought, why do I know it or why don't I know it? And where is it based? And it's based just up the road from me, about 40 minutes away, and they have an actual shop. And I have been to the actual shop on Tuesday. So I'll show you that another time. I did make another purchase there, and also they did have cable knit jersey but not red. They have the wine that's the same colour of wine fabric that Andrea Beyond the Pink Door, she has the wine. I bought my yellow from her, and it's a divine kind of, I love it. I'm not keen on, I don't know that I'd want it on in anything other than a Harper Cardi. I don't necessarily like it on my skin. It's not rough, but it's not my kind of thing. Anyway, where people are making toaster sweaters and all sorts of things, I want it for an outer garment. And okay, so that's what I did, and that's what I bought. And then I said, I just got 4 or 5 things from haberdashery. But I did have a chat to Jen Hogg when I was buying the hot hammer kind of thing, and well, actually I told her I thought she was robbed. So anyway, and Leslie was taking a photo of me doing the purchase, and it just made me, I just caught Leslie's eye, and I said, oh, you're taking a photo? And she said, is it all right if I take a photo? So she said yes. So we stood together and she did a photo, and she put her arm around me. Ooh, that was so lovely, because then she said, well, in 15 minutes we're going to be doing a talk in one of the halls, in the one down there, and I'll have Vicky with me and Jill, who were in 2 other series of Great British Sewing Bee. And so she was doing a demo and just a little question and answer about what we wanted to know about, anything we wanted to know about Sewing Bee. And so we went and we found out where it was, and the seating area was empty there. So we sat, and Leslie went off to get a coffee for herself and a hot chocolate for me. And the inference I got when she came back was, oh, I went that way and it's the Prosecco bar. Would you like a Prosecco? Well, I don't drink much. Very rarely do I drink. And I was like, she said, well, I'll get one, and I'll go and get a hot chocolate for you. So then she said, oh, do you want a Prosecco? Anyway, I had a Prosecco. So there's a picture of me and her, and I was already giggling just holding the glass. So, and she'd cleared with them, is it all right to take it in that seating area? And they checked with each other, and yes, it was all right. So we did that. And a lovely lady, because we were giggling as Leslie was trying to balance everything and take a photo of us. And there was a lady in a row diagonally opposite us, and just said, would you like me to take a photo? So there's a lovely photo of us that she took as well. So I'll pop them in. And what else do I want to say? We then decided we would go and take off our coats and put them in the cloakroom. And as I was walking back from there was a group of people talking, and Alison from So Like Dotty just caught my eye, and we just had a little chit chat, and that was so lovely to see her. And I just was so pleased she was looking better and feeling better, because she'd not been well, and just had this little chit chat, and I just find her so uplifting. And she is, I don't know how she does it, but she can buy a frock. She can buy a frock from Primark, work out how it's made, and then make one herself out of her own fabric. Keep the first frock, but make something extra. I just love how her mind works, and how she can just meld and blend things and hack things together and make something with two backs instead of something up front that she doesn't want. So it was just lovely to see her. And so who are my thank yous now? I saw Jenny, that was lovely. I did manage to have a chat with her later as we were going out. Margaret Vickers, I've mentioned. Ian McCullen, the wonderful machine mender extraordinaire. And mind you, I hadn't had a service for 3 years. Since the day I got it, it's never been serviced. It has had one now. And, see, I'll remember as soon as I say thank you very much. It's Susan. See you in a bit. I don't know. The hotel was nice. Oh, there was a woman at the bar. We'd had our meal at night, and Leslie was at the bar, and we were having a drink before we went back up. And there was a woman there who was chatting about, she was in a group, they took coach parties there, so there was a group there, and they were all chit-chatting, and this one person had come to the bar to get some of the drinks, and she was chatting to Leslie and saying they were going to the knitting and stitching show, so she was saying we went, and it was lovely, and it was this and that, and Susan, bring your bag. So I duly marched over and showed her my bag, and so she was, I think drink had been already imbibed. And she was saying, oh, that's really nice. So where did you buy that? Did you buy that today? So I said, no, I made it. I just finished it in time last night at 4 o'clock or something like that. And she went, oh, so that you've got something to sell at the fair? No, I didn't make it to sell. No, I just brought it to wear. Oh, so have you got a stand? No. So I'm saying, so she said, oh, you made it yourself? I said, well, it's from a By Annie pattern. And she said, By Annie pattern? Oh, so you Annie? It just went on like this. It was like, no. So anyway, we had this little giggle, all three of us together, and then I went back and sat down, and Leslie and I were back deep in chat, and she came over and she said, I hope you don't mind, but can I take your bag and show it my friends? So she said, we won't take anything out of it. Well, as I'd said, I'd put a little makeup bag in there, so I put the stuff that mattered in that, and she went off with the bag. Leslie did take a photo where they're passing it round, but it was too far, they were too far away. But it was just so funny. And then one of them waved to me, so I went over and I was giving them a bit of Jen about it. But I just thought it was really, it just added to the whole kind of experience. So anyway, I'm going to leave you now. Oh, except to say that Wednesday I went to the Northwest Sewing Social again, which is East Lancashire really. And I was delighted because there was traffic if you turned one way, and I just explored what happened if I went left. And I got back on the same road as if I was coming back from Harrogate. So that was much easier than going on the motorway at one of the busiest points on our motorway that you won't need to know really in Preston. So I had a nice drive back as well there, and yeah, I've been unable to partake of the buffet because of my digestive problems. My scan was clear. In my last video I mentioned that I'd been for a scan. My scan was clear, but now I've been advised to follow the rather complicated FODMAP diet, and I don't like, I'm telling you now because you've not got a lot of input really about mithering me about it, but I don't like to be doing something different food wise, and I don't like to be questioned about it, and I don't like to be having to justify it. You know, in the past it's kind of, it becomes a thing, doesn't it? It's like, oh, what are you eating now? Like, rice cakes, never heard of them. So it's a bit like cheesecake, cake with cheese. Anyway, I'm going to go because I'm getting far too excited now, and I'm ready for my very early tea because I had a very early lunch because I was working this morning and then I've worked this afternoon. So I'm glad to have been able to get on to speak to you, and I just hope you're all having some good sewing time. You're keeping healthy and well, and I will be putting a video out, but it may not have me fronting it. I mean, it'll be my video, but it depends. It depends on so many things. Like, I've had a chance to wash my hair. Did I feel like washing my hair? Is the time in the day to dry my damned hair? Now it's long. Yes, so what I've done now is I have finished what I wanted to call my winter dress that wouldn't have its cuffs on, and I made it have its cuffs on yesterday, and it now has some cuffs on, so it's completely finished. I just need to press it all, but very carefully, because when I pressed my woven one, the S8875, I overstretched the V down one side. I thought I was doing a good job doing it over the hem, and I curved it like that. So I'm just a bit wary because I've got to press it over a towel and things like that. So I'm just going to take my time. I'm not rushing with it. And I have a Christmas dress mostly cut out, and I'm working on a purple skirt and the fabric that I've had for a while. So I hope you're not too exhausted and listening to me babble on and on. My upcoming videos, one is one I promised that when I bought all the fat quarters in 5 or 6 different stores within about, I don't know, a 30-mile radius of me. I've now videoed that and identified which fabric they are and what the fabric shop was. And it may not be of interest to anybody, but I said I'd do it, so I've done it. Haven't edited it. And the other one was, I have followed my progress with the bag in pictures, and just the harder bits, I think about 20 minutes, where it felt like I was wrestling with a donkey. Not that I've ever wrestled a donkey, but I have videoed that, and I will put that together as the Buy Any Bowl Me Over Buy Any bag. And on Judy's vlog at Running So and So, it was about 4ish, she said, on the Friday. She points her camera at, she's looking at one thing, and then she points her camera another way, and I think you see the back of my coat and the back of Leslie's coat as we're leaving the place. So I didn't get to see Judy, but it's so near yet so far away in actually meeting her. Okay, bye for now. Susan at Seaside Stitches saying bye for now and happy sewing. Lots of love.